Hello everyone. Today we are going to do a demo to showcase how we can run Spark jobs on cloud Dataproc. Essentially, we are going to do three things. We are going to migrate existing Spark job to cloud Dataproc. We will modify Spark job to use cloud storage instead of HDFS. And we'll optimize Spark job to run job-specific clusters. So with that, let's get started. First and foremost, we'll do some administrative task just to see if we have proper setups on the cluster side. So if you see here, we have our account active. We will verify project ID for our initiative. So if you see here, this is our project ID. You see here, this is our project ID. Now we are going to migrate existing Spark job to Cloud Dataproc. Essentially, we are not doing any kind of transformation here. We are just lifting the Spark job and shifting it to Cloud Dataproc. So let's go to Big Data Dataproc service. Let's go to Big Data and Dataproc. We'll click on Create Cluster. We'll say cluster name as Spark .p. Will for component gateway will enable access to web interface so that we can go and look into web interface of different underlying services that are running behind the scene. Let's click on advanced option. We'll change the image here. We'll select 1.4 version with Hadoop 2.9 and Spark 2.4. Let's select here. We'll go ahead and add some optional components here. So we'll select Anaconda and we'll select Jupyter Notebook. And then we'll go ahead and create our cluster. So we'll directly come here, click on create. So this would take a few minutes because our cluster is getting up and ready. Meanwhile, we can clone our source repository that we will be doing for this demo. So let me get that thing ready. So as you see here, we are cloning the training data analyst repository for doing the demo. So that is done. Now let's locate Google Bucket for doing this Dataproc demo. Let's see if we are able to pull. So we were able to export Dataproc storage information. Now let's try to copy our notebooks into Jupyter. Let's see if we're able to do it. Okay, it was successful. So if you want to look at what is our Dataproc storage, So we can do echo dp storage. So you see here, this is our storage directory on our Google file system. It's in GS Google Cloud. Now let's see. Hopefully, once the cluster is up and ready, we can click on that and we can navigate to our Python notebook in Jupyter folder. Let us try to click and see if it is up and running. Okay, so the cluster is up and running. Let me minimize my terminal. So if you see here, you have your yarn memory, you have yarn pending memory. These are different metrics that you can monitor. You can monitor your HDFS capacity, how much memory do you have on your yarn cluster, what kind of utilization rates you are having here. And then on your job tab, you will get information about what job is running, what region it is trying to pull the data from, what type of job it is, and if you have any labels or not. These are three different VMs that are running behind the scene. So it has one master and two worker nodes. This is standard. So your region is US Central 1, zone is US Central 1-A. Right now we have turned off auto scaling because we're just doing it for the demo. We have 500 GB of primary disk size, and we have Jupyter and Anaconda installed. Now let's go ahead and click on Jupyter. So if we click here, it would take us to our Jupyter notebook. So if you click on Spark, first notebook. So if you see here, essentially what we are trying to do here, there are 5 different parts to it. Part 1, you have your Spark code, which we will just lift and move to Dataproc and see how it is running. Then we'll change HDFS to cloud storage. We'll try to automate everything for a specific cluster. And then we can try to play around with CSV, how to load CSV into BigQuery, and then leverage Cloud Function to do some kind of analysis if there is a new file in the bucket. So essentially, we are going to focus on lift and shift, cloud native capabilities, cloud optimized behavior for the specific job, data warehousing modernization. That's where BigQuery comes into the picture, and you have your serverless cloud function infrastructure. So let's click on cell. Now when we say run all, everything that we have in the script here will run successfully. So let's try to run everything. So let's go ahead and see what is happening behind everything. So here, in first step, you are pulling this file. You are trying to put that file into KDD folder. You are reading the file. You're doing some kind of transformation. You're doing some kind of Spark analysis. You have your template here. You're doing your Spark SQL to get the data, and then you're creating a Panda and you're creating some kind of plotting graph to see where the data is coming in. So if you see here, this is still running. Now you see you have your plot graph available here. You have all this data pulled into different kind of product type. You have your protocol type. You have state, total frequency, mean, and then you have your plot. So essentially what we are seeing the plot, we are seeing what kind of information we have gathered here. So let me go back here. These are the output that we are getting for the files. This is what has been read into your Spark raw data file. Now let's try to do part 2 of this equation. Let's try to separate compute and storage and see how it works. So essentially what we are going to do here is we are going to modify Spark job to use cloud storage instead of HDFS storage. So let me go back to my cloud shell and where's my cloud shell? Okay. So now I'm trying to copy source data into the bucket, into my bucket. Okay, that was successful. Good, that was successful. Now let's go back to our Spark Jupyter notebook here, and we'll make a copy of it. So we'll say duplicate. Okay. Now let's change this file's name to Deduplicate. Rename Deduplicate storage. Okay, good. So we have our file there. Let's do save and checkpoint for this file. Now let's say close and halt. So we are closing, we have closed that file. Now let's go back to our decouple storage file. Click this file. So essentially now we don't need cells that download and copy data onto clusters internal file system. So we can remove those first. We'll just have to click on the cell and remove those. So let me see, how can I remove? So I'll cut this 3 lines. Okay. So now, right now, it is pulling from HDFS. We have to change this and pull into this. So what? So now we'll have to go ahead and look into our project code. So our project code is this project ID. So we come here and we put our project ID here. Now we can go to our cell information here. First, we need to save this. So we save it. We go to cell information and run all. So right now it is running this information. Let's give it a few more minutes. Right now it is trying to run the information behind the scene. Oh, it has completed. So if you see here, it is reading this data from our Google Cloud file system as opposed to HDFS file system. So we have this CDS file, you have Spark analysis. This is the table. It's still trying to plot the graph, and your graphs are here. Great. So now again, we'll save and checkpoint, and we'll go ahead, we'll close and halt this one. So now let's go ahead and make a duplicate file for this. Now what we are going to do, we are going to optimize Spark job to run on job specific clusters. So we are deploying Spark jobs for that. So let us change the name of this copy file. Let me rename it. Okay. So we change the name. So now let's open this file. We have to click insert. So click insert, insert cell above. Insert cell above, and here we'll insert this thing. So essentially what we're trying to do here, we are trying to tell Magic Command to create a new output file to contain a standalone Python script. And then we will add variation to this, to the remaining cells to append contents of each file to the standalone script file. So essentially this imports matplotlib module and explicitly sets default for plotting your plotting the backend. So plotting code runs outside of a Jupyter notebook. Now let's remove this line because we don't want to have it in a specific file, but we want to uh, we want that to a different file. So now we are creating a new. We are trying to insert this, and we are trying to save this. Okay. We will add one more cell below. We'll add one more cell. Uh, Now we'll look into test automation. So let us add one more cell below. Add one more cell. Okay. Now we want to save this to persistent storage. So here what we are trying to do is we are trying to have a bucket and store it to that bucket. Now let's save this, click on cell and click on run all. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so you see here the files have been copied, the operation completed. So excellent. We have all this data pulled in. Now let's go back to our cloud shell. Now what we are going to do? We are going to do some kind of job analysis from our cloud shell. Uh, First of all, we'll copy Python script from our cloud storage so we can run it as a cloud Dataproc job. We will launch a script and we'll see how the evaluation would go from there and how we are able to run the Spark analysis job. So first thing first, let me open. So this will copy. Okay, copied successfully. Excellent. Let's launch our script. Now let's change configuration on that file. Now let's run our job analysis file. So you see here it is waiting for the output. Okay, it is running. Connecting to resource manager, connecting to application history server, submitted application. Okay, we are getting good information there. Good. So this is the same script that we had run from our Jupyter notebook. And here you are seeing a similar kind of data that was pulled up in the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so job has finished. Now let us go to jobs here. Remember, initially we did not have any kind of job here, but now we have this job because we submitted it. Let's click on this job and see how are things. So this is the exact output that we are seeing on our Cloud Shell. So you have your protocol type, you have your count, and you have your protocol state, total frequency, mean distribution, mean total fail times, root access. Now let's go to our cluster here. We have this Spark TODP cluster running. So if you see here, this is your yarn memory. You see the usage, uh, how much was allocated, how much was available, how much was reserved. You have this yarn memory. We don't have much information here, but if you can go and look at the jobs. Now you pull line wrapping. So this is the output. Let's look at the configuration of the job. Okay, this is your main Python. This was the bucket where you had that job. Job took 1 minute and 13 seconds. Let's go back to VM instances, configuration, and web interface. So yeah, so essentially what we did here, just to conclude what we did here, we did 3 things for this demo. We migrated existing Spark job to Cloud Dataproc. We modified Spark job to use cloud storage into HDFS. If you remember, we had made that change uh, on our Jupyter book when we were pulling that information. And then we optimized Spark job to run on job specific clusters. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you for your time.